What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here, PackersNews.com. I'm here with Michael Cohen of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel as he gets ready to leave Orlando, site of the NFL annual meetings. Michael, I know you spoke with Mark Murphy, who is a member of the competition committee, about some of the new rules that the NFL has not only implemented, but is planning on possibly implementing going forward.
Yeah, so the big news to come out of this week was two things. One, that the catch rule has been redefined, and they eliminated the concept of going to the ground, which seemed to infuriate just about everybody from the receivers themselves to the broadcasters you hear on Sunday. So that was part A. Part B was that, sort of out of nowhere, they put together this rule that passed unanimously that said players who lower their head to lead with the helmet will be flagged 15 yards and can possibly be ejected. Now, there are still a lot of details that need to be worked out at the next meetings in May, such as how this rule will be enforced and whether or not replay is going to be a part of it. But this is something that they said sort of sparked out of nowhere after a presentation by the NFL's medical team and a lot of really strong, forceful comments from coaches and GMs that said, look, our game is in danger here with all these kids and young people not wanting to play anymore. We have to take a drastic step to make it safer, and this is what they came up with.
Now, when you look at the rule on the face of it as it's written and as it's been communicated, it obviously seems like you could pick out pretty much any play in the NFL and either flag or eject a guy. Do you think this is much more about finding the really heinous hits, something like we saw with Devontae Adams last year, and giving officials and the league kind of a mechanism to get rid of some of these guys when they are blatantly ignoring safety rules?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously that was one of the biggest concerns because when you read the rule as it's stated, you could find 15 to 20 plays probably in every game where somebody lowers their head. So it does apply to defensive players, it does apply to ball carriers, and it does apply to linemen. But Mark Murphy said in all the film that they watched, they only found 5 hits that warranted what they thought would be ejections. The caveat to that is they don't know how many other hits would have generated just the 15-yard penalty without the ejection. So that's something that's going to be really interesting to see in terms of how these officials are supposed to emphasize it and whether or not they're really supposed to call it tightly or, like you said, save it for the things that are really not supposed to be part of football at all.
Well, there's one thing the NFL is known for, it's the consistency in their officiating, as we all know.
Absolutely.
Were there any other rules that maybe caught your eye or were talked about that possibly haven't garnered as many headlines because of this, leading with the head rule?
Yeah, well, sort of out of nowhere, when we were talking to Mark Murphy, there was like a lull in the conversation, and he just decided to bring up the fact that the next thing that the competition committee wants to look at are kickoffs. He said that kickoffs are far and away the most dangerous play in all of football, and that players who participate in kickoffs are 5 times more likely to sustain a concussion than they are playing an offensive or a defensive play from scrimmage. And so they really need to find a way to fix this. But the jarring thing that he said was that if the coaches and special teams coordinators can't come up with viable solutions, Murphy said the competition committee is going to recommend that kickoffs be removed from football. And that is obviously something that would change the game as we know it, in a very drastic manner. Now, I don't know if it would ever come to that or if that's sort of something they want to say to really prompt change and
Right.
try and get these people to be innovative. But the bottom line is that the kickoff remains the most dangerous play in the game by a wide, wide margin. And something has to be done about it as information about concussions becomes more and more prevalent.
There you go. All the latest from Orlando changes afoot and other places in the NFL. For all the latest, make sure you're checking PackersNews.com. For Michael, I'm Aaron. We'll talk to you soon.